I feel like a lot of the time in neutral, I'm more focused on what I should be doing than what I'm actually doing or what I shouldn't be doing. And that can lead to an autopilot that is super predictable and linear. Let's talk about that. But before we do, 70% of everybody watching this video is not subscribed. So if you enjoy it, consider subscribing. And thank you so much for watching. I've probably played more Street Fighter in the past 2 days than I've played in months, at least like in one sitting. I played super long sets with a bunch of different people. And one of those people was Juices again, one of my mentors. And he helped me basically dissect my neutral game and try and fix it. And it's not a change that I can make overnight. We played, I think, 30 to 40 games on Monday. And then the next day we did the same thing. And I made very minute changes, but not very noticeable. I was pretty much doing the same thing. There's a lot of walking under, pressing a button. Sometimes I'd accidentally anti-air by walking under and doing like back medium punch on Cammy. But by far the most frustrating change that I haven't been able to implement is my biggest problem, which is I love to just walk forward and press a button, and it's super linear, it's super telegraphed, and when somebody figures out that that's what you're doing, they can just check you walking forward and buffer a button into like DP or something, and it's a super bad habit. For example, a lot of the time I'll just walk forward on Karen to get into stand medium kick range and just press the button. So you can't do that. You can't get into the autopilot where you're just going to walk forward and press a button, because it's not an uncommon thing. I think games that are very offensive heavy lean towards you walking forward. Like, you want to continuously walk forward and pressure your opponent, but sometimes you just can't. Like, you don't need to. And sometimes, like I said before, it's to your detriment to walk forward and press a button, because they'll just stuff it and then, you know, punish you for it. And so when they were telling me this, like, they were telling me this is probably my biggest problem, is that my game plan is very linear, that I'm just going to walk forward and stick something out. I asked, what is the alternative? And that might sound kind of stupid, right? But genuinely, I couldn't really think of an alternative to like taking up my space and pressing a button. It sounded like the logical option to me for so long that it became my autopilot. And so the solution I was given was when you walk forward, you can stick out a button sometimes, but not every time. Sometimes just walk and block, or sometimes walk into a range of a button that you know they're going to whiff or they've been whiffing, and just walk in and out of it and then whiff punish it. Even though Street Fighter is not a movement heavy game by any means, it's not Melty Blood or Smash or anything like that, you still need to be able to use it to your advantage. And I just wasn't. So that's kind of what I've been trying to implement a little bit more, is I'll walk forward and sometimes I'll stick out a low, or I'll stick out a button of some sort, but other times I'll just walk and block and I'll just stand there, or I'll walk in and out of that range. I'll try and mix it up a little bit more. This habit of just walking forward and pressing a button, or just walking forward continuously in general, also contributes to my problem anti-airing, because it almost makes every single jump in a cross-up, because I'm so close to the opponent. They're never going to jump forward. Like, it's never going to be a forward jump that I'm anti-airing. It's always going to have to be a cross-up. It makes it infinitely harder to anti-air when I'm doing this. And so that's why I always walk under, because it usually always is a cross-up, which is fine. It's fine to walk under a cross-up, but then it leads to me not knowing, like, I'm kind of out of my element when they do finally forward jump, to the point where I just block it and I don't anti-air. So that's another thing I got to work on. And the last thing is, I should probably stick with one character. It's hard to learn all of these different aspects and have this mental stack while also not understanding what it is you need to do on the character that you're playing. That's why in the background you're probably seeing me play Karen, because that's who I played. That's who I want to play from now on. I want to go back to that, sort of brush up on my skills on that character, but also not have to worry about storing my special moves or like learning optimal conversions on whatever character I'm playing. I think the only other character I might know to the same level is probably Colleen, which is actually good, because she covers some of Karen's bad matchups, like Dalsum and I think Poison. There's a few matchups in there that Karen just kind of doesn't do very well in, that Colleen does. So it's a good secondary to have. But those two sets that we played over those 2 days were, I think that's what we call soul-crushing sets, because at partway through, you kind of just understand that you're not where you want to be yet, and you have a hard time figuring out why. Like, you start to go on autopilot because you're thinking about other things. I'd say about 25 to 30 games in, I'm pretty much gone. Like, I need to stop. Or sometimes I'll figure out what I need to work on, and then I'll transfix on it too much. Like, I'll know that I need to anti-air him more, so I'll just sit there and keep trying to anti-air him, and then I'll forget everything to do on the ground. It's been a lot of trying to simplify my game plan and not have so much on my mental stack. And switching between a bunch of characters just adds to the mental stack that I don't need. Just adds layers to it that I don't need. So So expect some like higher level sets. If I'm playing Karen, I'll be up in like the diamond ranks, which means I'll get placed with like GMs and masters and all those people. So hopefully I can bring you something that's not me like beating up a bunch of gold players on random characters that you don't really even like. But that's gonna be it for me today. I hope this helped you. If it did, consider subscribing, and thank you so much for watching.